Hi, my name is Lyric, and today we're reacting to a bunch of videos by the YouTuber Salmonella. Now, Salmonella is one of my favorite YouTubers of all time from all the videos I've seen from him. He's a super popular YouTuber, makes hilarious videos about, I think mostly historical, stuff, weird historical things, but also just a bunch of other, strange things about the world, and he makes a hilarious spin on it. Fantastic art style, fantastic humor, and everything, and good storytelling. Yeah, so a bunch of his videos are really short, so I thought we would just binge a bunch of his early videos. If we're going through all the ones that I haven't seen yet, I've seen a lot of the most popular ones, obviously, but we're going through the ones I haven't seen yet, and we're going to, chronological order from some of the older ones. So, we're watching a bunch of older Simonella videos. So, yeah, I have about an hour of them stacked up here, so sit back, grab a snack, and we're going to watch a bunch of old Simonella videos. So, yeah, we're trying to hit 2,000 subs on this channel, so if you subscribe, if you like this, make sure to do that. Also, make sure to watch all these Salmonella videos, either have them on in the background or watch them first, because they're amazing and he deserves the view. So let's just get into this here. If you end up liking this reaction, make sure to click the like button and stuff, because that's kind of cool. You should glow when I say that if you're not in full screen, which I think is kind of cool. Okay, let's go. Salmonella. First video is weight gain.
Hey kids.
Oh god, I'm scared.
As you know, many people struggle with weight management. Usually that means they can't keep the pounds off. But if you're like me, you might struggle with the opposite problem. Seriously, this drawing is only a slight exaggeration. So,
Why does this drawing kind of look like me before I got my haircut?
gonna teach you how to turn that dank lankin into skank bankin. Quick disclaimer, I am not a nutritionist. I'm mostly
Salmonella, he's truly an artist of our time, really. I would say, Leonardo da Vinci, Pablo Picasso, Salmonella, it's really hard to decide between them.
talking out my ass here, but
What am I kidding? It's obviously Salmonella.
I'm reasonably sure that most of the claims I make in this video are factually correct. Alright, let's do this. Tips Tuesday. Tip number 1.
Tips
Eat
Tuesday.
a dumb.
Yeah, a lot of these videos are he was uploading a specific thing every day for a little bit, which is ooh. Much different from the upload schedule we're getting today, huh?
Meat. It builds muscle. You know why? 'Cause it is muscle. I'm talking the beef, the pork, the chickie. It's all good. There is no better source of dense protein out there. Tip
This is Salmonella and his health guru stage.
number 2. Peanut butter. Any nutritionist can tell you that a balance of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats is necessary for a healthy diet. Peanut butter is that balance. Very calorie dense as well, about 90 in each tablespoon.
I don't know
You're
if it's
gonna
true or
wanna
not.
opt for chunk
Cannot
style
confirm
rather
or
than
deny.
smooth, as it is closer to raw peanuts. Tip number 3. No coffee. But Sam, you say, I need the coffee for my energy. Well, guess what? That's a bunch of pussy bullshit. A man should be running on pure willpower alone. Coffee is a stimulant that makes you waste energy. It makes you poop, waste the nutrients. And it's an appetite suppressant, so you can't stuff your gut as good. Tip number 4. Supplement with fats. Making spinach? That's good. It's got the nutrients. But it's also got 6 calories total. Throw a tablespoon of butter on top of it, and suddenly you up to 106 calories.
That's
Don't
crazy.
go with just butter though, it might turn you into a racist. I'm Paula Deen. Instead, diversify your oils. Olive,
Of course, man, of course.
peanut, coconut, especially coconut, pop that shit on potato, that's the fazood. Just don't drink crude oil or else you will die.
What is the accent he's doing?
Or turn into a billionaire, but I wouldn't risk it. Tip number 5. Milk. It's like water, except better, 'cause it's got proteins and lactose.
I don't know if it's
But
better.
Sam, I don't want my friends seeing me drinking milk. That's what children do. I will punt you over my house, 'cause that is more pussy.
People who drink milk are always the evil people in movies, like fucking No Country for Old Men, Homelander.
Bullshit.
Always
They might
drinking
laugh
milk.
now, but they won't be laughing once they see your sick gains. Just don't drink milk all the time. You could die. Okay, probably not,
Okay.
but milk is not too good a hydrator, so just drink water too. Do both. Both is good. Tip
Makes
number
sense.
6. Eggs. Protein good for chicks. Protein good for attracting chicks. Now, the egg consists of 2 parts, as you know, the yolk and the white, also known as the albumin. However, the Al Pacino is not nearly as dense as the yolk as far as calories and proteins are concerned. So if you wanted to get technical,
straight
you could
yolks.
ditch the Alpine Ridge and just eat the yolks. You won't miss out on much, as the pair have similar protein contents, just the Al-Qaeda also has a lot of water weight. In conclusion, egg whites are for gays. That's why they look like jizz. Tip number 7. Hey Junior, what
Of
you
course,
drinking there?
great.
Pepsi? Are you shitting me? Tip number 7, no sodas. They contain empty calories, for one. Secondly, carbonation is a waste of space. Produces gas, wastes valuable stomach space, so you can't...
You've stumped me on this one. I've completely failed this challenge at this point. Yeah, completely failed this challenge. I love soda way too much, man. I'm a big soda
eat
guy.
as much. You know why they call it pop? It's 'cause I'll pop a cap in your ass if I catch you drinking it. Tip number 8, most important, exercise. This is the sole tip that separates the fit fucks from the fat fucks. Obviously, you're gonna want to lift,
Calling someone a fit fuck is so funny. We gotta start doing that.
but you should definitely get
As an
some
insult,
cardio
too.
in there as well. But Sam, you say, everybody knows that cardio kills gains. I will punt you into the stratosphere because that is more, say it with me, pussy bullshit. Sure, an hour of jogging might lose you 400 calories, but you also get all of these benefits. So follow these tips and you'll be swole in no time. I'm Salmonella, and thank you for watching.
All right, pretty good informative video on weight gain there. Let's start off our binge here. All right, we're onto the fire.
Hey kids, let me tell you a story. This is about something that happened when I was around 11.
His newest video, or one of his newest videos, I think it was, where he got in trouble, I think, with YouTube for cause he was making kids content, cause he starts his video with "Hey kids." It was like endangering kids or something, because he says "Hey kids," and obviously it's not kid appropriate. And then he started the video like "Hey adults" or something. He was like, "Hey." Yeah, I forgot the joke, but he was like, yeah, it was something like that. It's hilarious.
Hey kids, let me tell you a story. This is about something that happened when I was around 11. One day I was
Story
just
time,
walking
okay.
through the woods with my dog, not a care in the world, when I see this guy approaching from
I like how he looks the exact same. He just got shorter.
the other end. He was all by himself, and he had a
Donald
football.
Trump.
And every now and then he would just toss the football up in the air, catch it, and then keep walking. When I walked past him, he muttered something along the lines of, "Hey kid, you want some football?" I assume he was propositioning me to a game of catch. Or maybe he just didn't like that football very much, I'm not quite sure. But between this guy's strange nature and the fact that he was 17 and I was around 11, I turned him down.
Okay.
I took the dog home, and later that day, me and my friend were back at the woods, just hitting shit with sticks, I guess. I don't know, whatever kids do. We were mostly chilling in the same place, and a little ways in,
This guy is just salmonella with short hair.
I see the guy walk past again. I think it's a bit strange, but as he turns the corner, I neglect to mention anything to my friend about my previous encounter. Around 2 minutes later, I hear some grown man shouting angrily, and my friend and I turned to look. Somehow, we were so engrossed in our nothing we were doing, that we somehow failed to notice the giant plumes of smoke rising up from where that guy turned the corner. I'm talking huge, like, if a member of the Vape Nation happened to see these clouds, he'd probably go into diabetic shock. The shouts were coming from our neighbor, whose house bordered on the woods. And he must have spotted the smoke before we did. So he's shouting things along the lines of,
"What the fuck do you think you're doing? I'm gonna call the fucking cops on you. What is this?"
That's when the guy goes fucking ballistic.
No, please! I don't want to go to jail! It was an accident!
And a few high-pitched screeches, which I don't think I'm able to replicate. My friend...
I like Salmonella, how he's talking here. He definitely sounds like he's trying not to wake up his parents or something when they're asleep. Filming this at 2 a.m. or something.
and I walk over to get a closer look. We see the guy standing on the edge of this huge ground fire. I'm talking at least 10 meters in diameter. Pitch black grass, smoke rising up, flames still around the edges. Now this guy must have been like a Boy Scout or something, because like I said, it was about a minute and a half between him turning the corner and hearing the guy shouting. Maybe the football was just a propane tank he painted brown. Could have been a pyromancer for all I know. It was about that time that my friend and I realized that, as two young hip delinquents, it was not in our best interest to be standing in the near vicinity of a forest fire. So we skedaddled.
Makes sense.
As we heard sirens approach in the distance, I couldn't help but wonder what this guy's motive was. A few days later, I found out the guy lived somewhat nearby, and that he had mild autism. Yeah, that cleared a good bit up for me, because I have a couple friends on the spectrum, and they're good people,
Shout out.
but sometimes they just do things. Nowhere near full-blown arson, mind you, more just along the lines of screaming fuck at the teacher and then walking out in the middle of class.
Yeah, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. Can't say I'm like that. Can't say I've ever done anything like that. But I mean, I don't know. Depends. I guess maybe maybe that could cause you to do arson sometimes. I don't fucking know.
But you get the idea. So the moral of the story here, kids, is that if somebody wants to play catch with you, you let them, or else they might unleash the fucking inferno.
Pretty good lesson there. Pretty good lesson. Okay, I guess that's just it for that video. Great story. Okay, so now we're on to the Shrike.
Hey kids, it's Wildlife Wednesday, so I'm gonna teach you
Wildlife
about
Wednesday,
the
okay.
Shrike. So the Shrike's a bird, right? Looks like this. Cute, right?
Shout out Technoblade.
Wrong. Turns out you're gazing into the eyes of a cold-blooded psychopath. Don't believe me? Let me
Oh,
tell
no.
you about it. First off, notice how the name Shrike is like a combination of shit and spike. And already you've got a pretty good concept of what the Shrike's all about. So this is how it goes. Shrike sees prey. Shrike uses its foot spikes to grab the prey. Prey says shit. Shrike finds another spike. Shrike fucking impales its prey on the
Oh my
spike.
God.
Prey says shit. Shrike eats prey off of spike like some kind of
I can see how I got the name.
kebab. Shrike turns prey into shit. And finally, Shrike uses the spike to clean the shit off its asshole. And the circle of life continues.
Okay.
Still don't believe me? Here's a picture.
Oh my god, that's
If that
horrifying.
isn't some Silence of the Lambs shit, I don't know what is. I can only imagine what it does
Yeah,
after it
animals
gets
are
home.
horrifying, man.
You fuck me. I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard.
Thankfully, the Shrike is small enough to fit in the palm of the hand, so we're safe for now. As long as there aren't any teacup poodle conventions in town.
Yeah, you gotta make sure these shits don't evolve, dude. This should be horrifying.
However, the impalement is considered basic tool use, which is a
Basic
sign of
tool
higher
use.
level cognitive thinking in animals.
Yeah?
So while we're in the clear now, this guy could get even more devious as evolution progresses. 1,000 years from now,
Yeah, he's gonna me making a medieval torture devices on these motherfuckers.
they're figuring out how to sprinkle spikes on the road to pop tires.
Watch where you walking.
Also, who knows how the Shrike's sociopathic DNA could be manipulated? Imagine
Oh,
like
God.
a bunch of Al-Qaeda biologists weaponizing the Shrike. We will breed it with their national bird. Those American pig dogs will never see it coming.
If something the size of a fucking eagle had this fucking mentality, it'd be horrifying. They actually could do this to probably humans if they really wanted to. If a fucking eagle wanted to.
But Abdul, what will we call this new creature? The bald shingle. And a hop, skip, and a jump later, and suddenly you've got kindergartners
Oh,
impaled on
God.
stop signs. For
Oh,
demonstration,
no.
you use my idea, I expect compensation. So when you go to bed tonight, kids, make sure to lock your windows. Or else you might wake up with a spike up your anus and bird shit smeared on the walls.
That was a real fast video, just quick, informative right there. Okay, nice. Alright, Tycho Brahe,
Hey kids, it's That Happened Thursday, so it's time to learn
Historical?
some history. Today's
Yeah, let's
lesson
go
is
history.
on the weirdest 16th century.
my favorite Salmonella videos are obviously the history ones. I'm a big history guy, so that's a lot of reason why I watch this channel. Just funny depictions of weird shit in history.
Danish astronomist that you'll ever meet. Okay, that isn't saying much, but trust me, he's an interesting guy. Meet Tycho Brahe, or
Tycho
Brahe,
Brahe.
or Broham, I don't really know, let me look it up. Alright, apparently I was right the first time, it's Tycho Brahe. Already you can see that something ain't quite right. He looks like Jamie Heinemann's gay cousin. So his claim to fame, among other things, is that he spent around 30 years collecting astronomical data with nothing but the naked eye, data that was later
That's
utilized by
impressive.
minds like Newton. However, if you think he just sat around staring at the sky all day like some kind of loser, then you're way off base. First off, besides the whole astronomer thing, Tycho was an immensely prominent noble for a long period of his life. It was to the point where he owned 1% of the entire wealth of Denmark at one point in the 1580s. Today, people like Bernie
Goddamn.
always talk about the 1%. Bitch, I am the 1%. Oh dear.
That's a great way to put it. This guy is the 1%. Owns 1% of the country by himself.
Of the
Goddamn.
entire wealth
Also,
of
great depiction of
Denmark
Bernie
at one
right
point in
there.
the 1580s. Today, people like Bernie always talk about the 1%. Bitch, I am the
The accent's so funny.
1%. Oh dear, I am somehow even more bold. Honestly, imagine a single scientist having that much money today. If you gave that kind of cash to Stephen Hawking, he would
You don't want to give it to Stephen Hawking, man. You know what he does with money.
probably turn into Skynet. Beyond being a stargazing fat cat, though, Tycho is also just a straight-up lunatic. Here's a story.
Oh,
So
great.
he got into a little scrap in his college years, right? That ended up in a sword duel where he lost part of the tip of his nose.
That's just something that happens around this time. You get into a fight at school. That's literally the meme of British gang fights. Be like ting ting ting. Yeah, just get into a fight at school. You know what? Pull out the sword. Pull out the sword. I dare you. And then they're actually fucking hurting each other with swords. Guns existed at this time. I'm pretty sure. I know. I'm certain they existed at this time. I don't know what the hell they were doing. I mean, swords were still widely used though. So I guess maybe it wasn't common for the average person to have a gun, but maybe a sword. You know.
You think
yeah,
he
sure.
would have learned his lesson. But later on in his life, he somehow got himself into another sword duel, this
What are the
time in
chances?
the dark, and he
Oh, that's
lost
not
the
good.
rest of his nose. Maybe that's where all the
Why? What a coincidence. Same spot, bro. Just Voldemort now.
money came from. Honestly, just put out a bunch of nose insurance beforehand. Oh, it's already broken. I don't need the rest. Get myself into another fight. So finally, he got himself fitted with a new brass prosthetic nose, which he wore for the rest of his life. But that's just the tip of the crazy iceberg. Tycho, being fabulously well endowed financially, get your mind out there,
Damn.
one day decided
Okay.
to hire a dwarf for his court. Just to, do dwarf things, I guess. The guy's name was
Alright.
Jep, and
Great
Tycho
name.
was in full belief that he could also tell the future. Hold on, I'm getting a vision. I see
You're
you
gonna give me $1 million.
giving more money to a little person. Oh, wow. must have been- Ha ha.
believe
Silly
it.
Jep. Damn. Seriously, though, imagine one of today's astronomers pulling something like this. So, Mr. deGrasse Tyson, what discoveries have you made today? I've discovered something about myself, Steve. Go on. I want to own a dwarf. I want to call him Jeb and have him do dances for me and, be my footstool if I asked him nicely.
Wouldn't be surprised if Bill Nye did this.
What the fuck, Neil? Also, he should be psychic. What truly takes the cake, though, is Tycho's pet elk. Yep, this walrus owned a caribou. Can't make that shit up. So one day, the next noble over wanted to borrow the elk to entertain guests at a party, right? So Tycho sends the beast over to the other guy's manor. At the party, the elk gets pissed drunk, climbs
What?
up a staircase, falls down it, and dies. And dies. Knowing Tycho, he was probably just like, well, no more moose, I'll buy another one, life goes on.
It's
So that's
honestly
the story of
impressive. It's honestly impressive to get an animal drunk. So drunk that it actually is like a human, acts like a human drunk and then fucking dies.
Tycho Brahe. Remember, kids,
Brahe.
eccentricity can get you far in life.
How does this guy find this shit out? How does he just, learn about Tycho Brahe to begin with? It's such an obscure topic how he learns about all these shits. These random things, and then depicts them in a great way to educate us on very important stuff here.
But dwarf owning can get you even farther.
All right, very great. These are all so short back in the day, so yeah. Sorry, we're doing the binge here. A brief history of sushi. Alright, let's go.
Hey kids, it's Food Friday, so today's lesson is on the history of sushi. Sushi first came into existence in Japan around the 8th century. It consisted of gutted, salted fish stored in fermented rice. You know, this half-rotting
It sounds horrible when you put it that way.
rice is good and all, but I can still smell things. Yeah, and I'm not having nearly as much diarrhea as I would like to be. What should we do? Raw fish. Raw fish, I was thinking exactly the same thing. God, we are so in sync. Nah, but actually, the rice wasn't meant to be eaten. It was only used as a means of preservation. You see, the fermenty juices of the rice
Put it
would
in
soak
rice.
into the fish and prevent it from spoiling. However, as semi-rancid food often does, it would also impart a sour taste on the fish. That's where the name
Right.
sushi comes from, an antiquated Japanese term for sour tasting. Also, it smelled like death. The odor is described as
That's
an
how you imagine?
extremely pungent cross between blue cheese,
I hate how this nose is so much more detailed compared to his art style.
fish, and vinegar. Man, I'm mad. Why's that? I smelled something down the road. Thought a new sushi vendor was in town. Turns out, it was just a hobo taking a piss on a tuna sandwich. Later on, during the late Edo period, people started pickling the rice, which
It's actually way more recent than I would have thought that we get the modern type of sushi. You know, like 1800. Like I thought Japanese would have been eating this shit. You know.
drastically shortened the required fermentation time. So now, rather than smelling like blue cheese, fish, and vinegar, it just smelled like fish and vinegar. Go figure.
Oh, great. What a
People
great
found this
combination.
rice to be much more palatable, so it began to be eaten alongside the fish. Sheet seaweed was also invented around 1750, which allowed the contemporary sushi roll to take form around this time. Toss in a couple vegetables, and you've got something much more resemblant to today's sushi. During the
Nice.
late 19th century, many Japanese emigrated to America to escape the imperial takeover of Japan, which was known as the Meiji Restoration. It just so happened
We've watched Bill Wirtz. We understand
is
this.
that they brought the concept of sushi with them, which enjoyed
Sushi.
brief popularity among the upper class during
I do say, these are some dank-ass fish thingies. Yes, quite. Oh, yes.
the turn of the 20th century. However, coinciding with the imperial takeover was the fact that Japan started being kind of a dick. Hey, freedom is gay. What did you just say? Yeah, your way of
Great.
life is for pussies. Oh yeah? Guess we'll just stop eating your dumb fucking fish roll things then. Hey, fuck you, you cheeseburger slut. I'll nuke your bitch ass. Wait, what is nuke? 40 years, you'll see. And thus, sushi lost its place in the West. Cut to the early 1960s. World War II tensions are mostly gone,
Oh, God.
and refrigeration is everywhere. This allowed sushi to again rise in America, this time for good. By the
The way he draws it is so gross.
1980s, sushi restaurants were everywhere, especially along the West Coast. But as you can imagine, American sushi saw significant alteration in order to appeal more to the Western palate. For example, if you went to Japan and asked for cream cheese in your roll, they'd probably just put you on a raft and gently push you out to sea. But to each their own. And today, sushi is more popular than ever. So kids, remember
Yeah?
to be careful of who you make fun of. Because the weird, smelly kid of today might just be the next big thing tomorrow.
Yeah. Alright, nice, very brief history there. These could be like YouTube shorts in modern day, honestly. You just talked a bit faster? Why Thorium Rocks?
Hey kids, can I tell you a secret? Come here, closer. Nuclear energy? It's not a bad thing. Sure,
It's
30
true.
years ago, things
not
like
bad at all.
Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island
Safest form of energy.
were certainly something to worry about. Today, however, it's a different story. Let me tell you kids about thorium. Thorium is uranium's neighbor, just 2 houses down. He's a lot like uranium, just he's a lot more chill. Uranium's the type to do a half-assed job during the day and spend every night doing Jaeger bombs and blasting Kendrick Lamar, you know the type. Thorium, on the other hand, is more career-oriented, and at the end of the day, he's cool with just watching Netflix, eating Ben & Jerry's. Let me walk you through
Seems
all
like a
the
good day.
steps of nuclear power, and you'll see why thorium is so great. Let's start with mining. So when somebody
Every form of energy we have is just another way to boil water really fast.
doesn't feel like getting out of bed, they'll, you know, whine and moan and roll over. Likewise, when uranium doesn't want to get out of bed, He releases deadly cancer-inducing radon gas. This means workers have to put up
I hate when that happens.
expensive ventilation systems just to, you know, not die. Thorium's chill. You go to wake him up, he understands he's got a job to do. Goes without a fuss. And even when you do get uranium
I love this
up,
analogy here.
like the lazy bastard he is, he has much less concentration in his ore compared to thorium, so more work has to be done
It's honestly, this is a great ad for thorium, I gotta say.
Just to
Thorium
to
propaganda.
get the same amount of material. The Earth's crust also has much more thorium in total than uranium, about 3 times as much. So you got your ore, and you've extracted it. Ready for work, right? Wrong. You see, natural uranium mainly consists of 2 different isotopes, uranium-235 and uranium-238.
235 is one you want.
238 kinda sucks at life, so uranium has to undergo enrichment to up its concentration of
Here to split you like 2 and 3 from 5.
235. Uranium's kinda like that kid with ADHD, right? You got him in the building, but you still gotta give him his own little room and a couple Ritalin before he starts doing anything productive. That's expensive. Thorium, on the other hand, look at him. He's got his sneakers laced, glasses on. He's ready
You versus the guy she tells you not to worry about.
to go. No enrichment needed. Finally, you're ready to make some power. This part's important, kids. Pay attention.
The uranium's, the humans are like talking to uranium. Your cousin thorium, you know, is getting into, is doing a lot better, you know.
So this is where the biggest difference between uranium and thorium comes in. You see, uranium is fissile, whereas thorium is fertile. This means uranium can do his job all by himself, just doing his thing all on his own, whereas thorium's kind of a cripple. He needs a little bit of someone else just to give him the push he needs to start releasing energy. This might sound like a bad thing, but if you think about it, it's a lot safer. If you've got your power production process started, and shit suddenly hits the fan, uranium's just gonna keep going. You can try to move him around, cool him down or whatever, but at the end of the day, this man's gonna be swinging, and it's not gonna be a good day for anyone. Thorium, he's only got one leg. Piss him off, he takes a swing at you. Just push him over, you're good. Please note, Salmonella Academy does not condone pushing cripples. And that's what thorium reactors do.
How to specify.
They allow the barely radioactive liquid thorium to drain away from its helper in the event of an accident, so there's no way for things to escalate. Much safer. But while the process for thorium is better, most
This is
of
a
the
great
time
ad for
people
thorium,
care
man.
more about the results. Well, it just so happens that thorium is pimping in that regard as well.
Goddamn.
CERN estimates that 1 ton of thorium is capable of producing as much energy as 200 tons of uranium. That's a lot.
Yo.
To compare, that's also equivalent.
What are we doing using uranium at this point, man? We gotta fucking... Dude, thorium is fucking sweeping this guy, bro. He's fucking dominating
to
him.
3.5 million tons of coal. But let's talk about
Uranium in 2024 is Celtic shit. Come on now.
byproducts. Thorium, being as pure as it is compared even to enriched uranium, produces about 100 times less nuclear waste. So whereas we might not have as many X-Men, that also means much less work has to be done to dispose of the material. Additionally, it's
Pretty
very
good.
difficult to make a nuclear weapon out of thorium, since it can't do much on its own. The only thing that's really weaponizable about thorium plants is that little bit of helper material I talked about earlier. But overall, that's a pretty minuscule amount. That means we can feel a lot better about plopping these plants down in places like Iran. So kids, you heard it here first. Thorium is the future. Powerful,
Shout out
clean,
thorium, man.
reliable, and if things go wrong at the end of the day, you can still kick its ass.
Alright, pretty good ad for thorium there. He sold me. How to unicycle. I don't know if you can teach me this one.
Hey kids, it's Tips Tuesday. So today I'm giving you a beginner's guide on how to unicycle. Alright, let's do this. Tips Tuesday. Step number 1.
Oh no, this
buying
guy's
a
back again. Not the
unicycle.
Tips Tuesday,
This part's
Sam.
pretty easy. Me, I got
Tuesday,
mine
Sam.
on Amazon. You are gonna want to pick the proper
Amazon.
size, however, based on your height. Me, I'm lanky as a fucking Kong, so I got a 24-inch. If you on the shorter side, go for the 20-inch. If you under 13, well, you probably shouldn't be on my channel. But if you are, go for the 16-inch. They're generally only around $60 or $70, mostly
Pretty good
because
deal.
they're basically just a wheel and a seat, so that's a plus. Step number 2, assembly. Okay, you can probably do this part on your own. They give you directions in the box, so I'm not gonna waste your time with this. However, you do want to make sure your pedals are on the correct way. If you put them on backwards, it could make it so they unscrew while you're riding. Trust me, I learned the hard way. Step
Oh,
number
no.
3, mounting. Kids, a unicycle is like a woman. It's not hard to get to know a good unicycle, especially if you've got lots of money. But if you want to mount it, that's still going to require some skill on your part. In
It's
my
true. It's a
experience,
good analogy.
however, I found that those things that are hardest to mount are oftentimes the most rewarding. You see this tricycle? This tricycle's a whore. It has a poor relationship with its father, and it does not deserve your respect. Unicycles, that's where the real
I gotta say, he's low-key, I didn't know if he was selling me on unicycles. He's low-key selling me, man. This whores analogy is pretty good.
man play. Here's how you do it. First off, find something to hold on to. Trust me, you're gonna need it. Could be a car, or a trash bin, or Jay Leno's chin. Me, I use my basement's low ceiling. If you can reach yours, I highly recommend it. Next, rotate the wheel so that one pedal is at the bottommost point. That's where your first foot's gonna go. Once you got all your weight on that foot, put the other one into place. As you do so, you will find yourself being placed upon the seat. Now guys, remember how I said a unicycle is like a woman? Well, forget that for a moment, because you want your junk to have as little involvement with the unicycle as possible. Remember in middle school you learned about levers? Well, you're gonna want to use your taint as a fulcrum on the seat in order to maintain your balance. Too far back, you're gonna fall over. Too far forward, you're just...
I gotta say, first of all, beautiful drawing here of the anatomy. But also, I do appreciate the sentence, you're gonna want to use your taint as a fulcrum. I can't say I've ever heard that before. I gotta say, I don't know how many times that sentence has been said in human history before.
gonna castrate yourself. So be careful.
Castrate
Step
yourself.
number 4, riding. Okay, remember my woman metaphor? That's back on. When you're riding a unicycle, you require great balance, as well as a steady rhythm. Also, you're probably not gonna last too long your first few times, just FYI. If you prefer, you can deflate your tires a little when you're first learning, cause a flabby unicycle might not let you go as fast, but they're certainly easier to ride. Anyway though, riding a uni is a lot like riding a
God
bike.
damn it, dude.
Except instead of just balancing on your left-right axis, you gotta worry about your front-back axis as well. So you on a bike, you wanna turn right, you lean right, right?
Note, I get quieter here because other people showed up in the house. I didn't know how they'd feel about me screaming. How they feel about a screaming Bostonite / Brooklynite hybrid in the basement.
Same with every direction on a unicycle. If you want to go forward, in addition to pedaling, you gotta lean forward. For your first few goes, you're probably gonna want to hold on to something. This ain't called a crash course for nothing. Fortunately with the uni, it's very easy to dismount whenever things go wrong. Out of hundreds of failures, I personally only ever landed face first around 2 or 3 times. Above all, keep practicing. Eventually, kids, you'll be like that stupid-ass frog meme that everybody hates. And remember, riding
Here come
a
that boy.
uni is like riding half a bike. You only half forget. Sure.
Alright, man. Another fantastic tips video. He honestly sold me on the unicycle, man. Great analogies, man. His analogies are on point, I gotta say. We're getting more of the song here at the end. A childhood story.
Hey kids, it's Misk Monday, so I'm gonna tell you all a story from my childhood. I was in 5th grade at the time, about 10 or 11. I was in that YMCA aftercare program at my school, you know, where they watch kids for a while before their parents pick them up, right? So the story centers around 2 other kids there. One was a 5th grader, we'll call him Carl, and the other was a 1st grader, we'll call him Tyrone.
I always assume that these people actually are just using the real names of the people in the stories and just saying, we'll call him, so people don't think it's them. But I'm pretty sure, I think a lot of these people probably just use their real names just to say it off easier. But just say, we'll call him.
So to preface, Tyrone was a bit odd. He didn't talk much, he was always just kinda looking around, but generally he was a good kid. So one day...
Is he autistic? I'm pretty sure it looks like the same drawing as the autistic kid you wrote in the last episode. Or like a few episodes back.
Hey, I'm sitting there, minding my own business, when I see Carl walk into the bathroom.
Carl
And
the
then
skinhead.
about 10 seconds later, I see Tyrone follow him in there. I didn't really think anything of it until I hear Carl shout from inside the bathroom. I look over and Tyrone comes running out crying. So the counselors ask him what happened. Tyrone points at Carl and says, "He pushed me." They asked Carl if it was true, and Carl gives the full explanation of what actually went down in the bathroom. So it turns out Carl was
Oh,
just
God.
at the urinal, minding his own business, when Tyrone walks in, walks right up to him, and starts poking him on the balls while he's peeing. So Carl, who was still, midstream, couldn't really use his hands to stop him, so he reflexively did this sort of hip check to push the kid away. The kid hits the ground, immediately starts crying, and runs out of the bathroom. So the counselors excused Carl and politely asked Tyrone what he was doing touching an older boy's nads. Tyrone replies, I just wanted to make sure he got all the pee out. So ultimately, it just ended with the
Hey, pee is stored in the balls, okay? Everyone knows this.
counselors explaining to him that you shouldn't touch other people's junk. I'm just glad he decided to pull this sort of thing now in a public school to another kid.
Yeah, he had to. Yeah, this is definitely the autistic guy, by the way, 100%.
Imagine
God
if he
damn it.
did this in a public restroom. It would have probably ended with some guy getting arrested. Thankfully, Tyrone never touched another sack again, as far as
Hopefully.
I know.
Yeah, hopefully. That's just the whole video. That's hilarious. Literal animal planets.
Hey kids, it's Wildlife Wednesday, so today I decided to make some animal planets. No, not that animal planet. What I mean is, if you took every member of a certain group of animals and just rolled them into a single ball in space, how big would that sphere be?
Wait, hold up. This is actually a great point because I saw a meme that basically was like 1 billion lions versus the sun, 1 trillion lions versus the sun. And I knew obviously the sun would win that battle, but if you honestly put together 1 billion lions, or maybe even 1 trillion lions, right, into a ball, and you threw it at the earth, would that cause the extinction of the human race? Like, how big of an impact would that make? 1 billion lions on a ball hurled at earth. Some scientists below, do the math for me, please. Tell me.
And I got some interesting answers, but before I show you my findings,
Sam,
I'll quickly
me and
go
Sam are on
over
the same
my
page here.
process. So first, I found the full population of a given creature or set of creatures. Then I would take the average weight of that creature, and multiply the two together to get the total mass of that creature on Earth. To go from mass to volume, however, you still need the density of whatever you're measuring. Fortunately, the density of all animals is quite similar, partly due to the fact that the vast majority of creatures are at least 70% water by weight. Couple that with the fact that the ratio of fat, muscle, and bone or exoskeleton in all creatures is at least vaguely similar, and we can estimate the density of all animals to be around the same. Water is exactly 1 kilogram per liter, and then I'm throwing in a plus or minus 0.1 as a rounding error for the other material involved. As such, the values at play here are going to have 2 significant figures at most. I've included a link in the description to a spreadsheet with all my data and calculations. Quick
This is truly the most important math ever done here.
disclaimer before we get started, a lot of this is based on estimation, particularly in the case of animal population. It's actually quite difficult to get a definitive count of a given animal on Earth, so all of the following is simply based on science's best guesses. Also, this is by no means a comprehensive list, it's just those that I could find the most reliable data on. One more clarification, the amount of specificity I give is the amount I apply to a given sphere, right? So whereas a blue whale sphere is just that one species, an ant sphere would cover all types of ants. That being said, let's roll. First up is the blue whale sphere. Although they are freaking gigantic, there is only like 10,000 of them on Earth. So the sphere only came out to around 140 meters in diameter. That's
Dang,
about the same height
that's
as
crazy.
the Great Pyramid. A bit larger than that is the elephant sphere, which came out to around 170 meters. Next up is the domesticated cat sphere at around 180. That's only slightly smaller than the Roman Colosseum, which was 190 in diameter. Next up is the camel sphere at around 260 meters. Slightly larger was the domesticated dog sphere at 280. Then the chicken sphere at 330. The horse sphere is at 370 meters in
These seems like they would be way. These seem like they would be way, way, way bigger. I don't know.
diameter.
Hmm.
Larger than that was the ant sphere, which came down to around 420 meters. I almost didn't include this one as it is very difficult to find a definitive answer on ant populations. All the sources I found differed by like an order of magnitude or two, so I just averaged them out. Anyway though, imagine like falling back first into this thing and just having all the little minuscule creatures just consume you into their mass.
Oh
Feeling
god.
itchy yet? You should. Anyway, this ball was just shy of the Empire State Building, which stood at 440. Next up is the sheep sphere, which got up to 650. Close to that is the Vatican City, which is 663 meters across. That means the Vatican is just big enough to hold all the sheep in the world. If that's not a metaphor,
That's crazy.
I don't know what is. Near the top of our list is the Antarctic Krill Planet, which reached about
I like that,
950 meters. The People Planet was just a smidge larger at 960. Interestingly enough, despite the fact that there are 7.4 billion people in this sphere, it
That's crazy. There's been 600 million more humans since this video came out. That's crazy.
would only take 585 of them stacked toe to head to reach the height of the sphere. Anyway though, you'd think the human planet would be the largest since
That's
for our
absolutely
size we're
fucking
so
insane.
disproportionately represented on Earth. However, our largest planet is actually due as a result of our giant population, as well as our voracious appetite. The cow planet, you see, is at a diameter of about 1.2
Makes sense. Makes sense. It's like a billion cows and they're fucking huge.
kilometers. That's around 2/3 of the length of the Brooklyn Bridge. So all this time, you humans thought you ruled the Earth, when in fact, we are merely the servants to our cow overlords. I'm Salmonella, and thank you for watching.
Pretty interesting thought experiment there. Origin of religious symbols.
Hey kids, it's That Happened Thursday. So today, I'll discuss
History,
where
let's
different
go.
religious symbols come from. First up is Christianity. As most of you
Wait,
know,
wait.
Jesus of Nazareth.
Hold on, what that
Hey
say?
kids, it's That Happened Thursday. So today, I'll discuss where different
Probably earned myself a place in every version of hell
religious symbols
with
come
how
from.
shit these drawings
First up
are.
is Christianity.
Okay, good.
As most of you know,
This one's
Jesus of
obvious.
Nazareth was crucified despite being supposedly sinless, so the cross is representative of his martyrdom. Personally, I always thought choosing the cross of all things to signify the whole religion was at least a little silly. Right, my prophet, he was a great dude, spread peace and love all along the land, performed many bountiful miracles, and then right at the end, he fell face first into a fucking bear trap and died. So that's our symbol, whole religion bear trap.
Yeah, I've seen some shit like this. Like, if Jesus came back, he's probably a bit mad that we're all using how he died as a symbol. Like, it's like if John F. Kennedy came back and we were all driving convertibles to honor him.
Peace, love, compassion, and bear trap. Next up is the Jewish Star of David. It's been used now and then since the 11th century, but it only really got popular around the 1800s. There's no real special meaning behind it. They really just took a random symbol that was kind of around, called the hexagram, and made it their own. Bro, check out my new religious symbol. I'm pretty sure you didn't come up with that. Pretty sure that's a thing elementary schoolers do in their notebook when they're bored. Nah, man, not once it gets popular. Then everybody will think of my religion when they see it. Whatever floats your boat. Jimmy, what is this in your notebook?
Oh, it's just a little doodle.
Jimmy, listen to me. We are Catholics. Now get over here and erase this blasphemy.
But Mom,
Now! Next is Islam.
My
So,
mom.
the star and crescent actually used to represent the Ottoman Empire, which ruled over most of the Islamic world during the 1800s. However, the
And
empire
there's-
dissolved after World War I, and its symbol was later adopted to represent Islam as a whole around the 1970s.
Makes
Hey
sense.
Rob, guess
That's crazy.
what?
That's that
I'm
recent.
starting a new
70s?
baseball team. Isn't that the Chicago Cubs logo? Oh please, they're barely even a team. When's the last time they did anything? Nobody's using this symbol because nobody wants to buy their merchandise.
I like it. Yeah, it's definitely getting a lot of people mad just fucking making fun of every single religious symbol here.
Perfectly good logo. I'm taking it for my team. Couldn't that lead to a bit of confusion? Only because they'll see a guy in a Cubs jersey who can actually catch a pop fly. Next up is Taoism. Alright, so the yin-yang, or as they call it, the Taijitu, actually applies to a lot of Asian religions. Just the Taoists use it as their primary symbol today. It originated in China dating back to the 11th century AD. Although it's had a lot of different looks over the years, it's always represented the same idea of balance between contrasting forces in the world. Okay,
It's a very
Carl,
cool symbol, to be
balance
fair.
of good and evil. Let's see your design. Not bad, not bad. Alright, what about you, Steve? What the hell is that? Oh, well, you said balance between good and bad in the world, so I drew a grilled cheese sandwich shaking hands with a razor blade covered dildo. What? Okay, all other questions aside,
I mean,
why is a grilled cheese the best thing you could think of?
hey man, grilled cheese are good, man. I think it's a pretty damn good depiction right there.
Have you ever had a grilled cheese? Like a real one with butter just smeared all over it, crust nice
Hell yeah,
and
man.
crispy, sprinkle some onions in there, get out. Okay. So you know how when people are meditating in movies, they do that obnoxious Om thing? Well, apparently, Om is actually the name
Om.
of the popular Hindu symbol, and repeating its name aloud is said to be a sacred incantation, which is why it's said
Om.
during things like rituals or yoga. The actual meaning behind the symbol is said to represent a load of different things depending on
Let me
who
grab
you
his
ask
back.
or when.
Oh my
Basically,
God.
whatever your purpose is, it's a one-size-fits-all prayer. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy bounty. Ah! This is taking forever. No, you know what? I'm gonna make my own religion, yeah. And our prayers, one syllable long. We're just gonna go ood whenever we feel like praying. That's it. Dinner table, ood! But how will you get any meaning out of that? It's my own word. I can give it whatever meaning I want. So I'll just give it all the meanings. It'll mean the soul, it'll mean the universe, it'll mean I don't have to recite any more long
I like how he's like breaking down how these other symbols like actually probably really came to be.
long-winded bullshit. Anyway, pass the corn. So unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. At some point I'll do a second video covering some of the more obscure religious symbols. But until
Apple.
tomorrow, I'm Salmonella, and thank you for watching.
I don't think he ever did. Okay, so now we're on to the forms of carbon as alcoholic drinks.
Hey kids, today I'll be discussing the alcoholic equivalents of the various allotropes of carbon. For those of you that don't know, an allotrope is just the various forms that carbon atoms can arrange themselves
Yeah, this is a very
But
interesting
anyway,
way of
let's
teaching
get
these
started.
topics.
So amorphous carbon is like beer. It's the first form to ever be produced by humans, likely by accident. It's also the weakest form. It has a bunch of varieties, most of which taste terrible. And you need a whole lot of it if you want to have a good cookout. Graphite is like wine.
Pretty good,
It's
I'm
almost
telling
as
you,
old
man. He always kills it with these analogies, man.
as amorphous carbon, having been used by humans since ancient times. However, it's significantly stronger. Up until recently, only the rich could really get much enjoyment out of it. But today, most individuals can use it if
Illiterate.
they choose, but not all varieties are equal. Diamond is like vodka. First of all, it's very strong, the strongest form that's likely to be found in the average household. It's typically valued based on its purity and clarity, though flavored varieties do exist. Though it can be manufactured right here at home, most people seem to prefer it when it's from far-off lands. And remember never to use too much of it or else you might regret it later. Graphene is like brandy. It's similar to graphite in structure, but it's put through a process to make it more pure, and as a result, it's much stronger. Fullerenes are like absinthe. It's not as mainstream as the other varieties, mostly only being used by the intellectual types. It's also claimed to have a bunch of properties not shared by any other form out there. But despite all its hype, it has little real-world application currently. Finally, carbine is like pure alcohol. Despite its simplicity, it's extremely difficult to produce with current methods except in very small amounts. If you were to have a bunch of it, however, it would be more than twice as strong as diamonds. Hopefully, this forced analogy has been at least vaguely informational. But anyway, that's all for today. I'm Salmonella, and thank you for watching.
Alright, very short, just quick video right there. Give quick analogies of learning about carbon. And not much to say about that one. Okay, Okay, so now we're on to produce section poisons. Alright.
Hey kids, it's Food Friday. So today, I'm going to cover some of the deadly toxins found in your local produce section. Our first item is rhubarb. Now, the part of the rhubarb that you normally eat, the delicious red stalk, is virtually toxin-free, so no worries there. It's the greenery of the plant that's a cause for concern. The leaves of the rhubarb plant contain small amounts of oxalic acid, which is toxic to humans. And it's not a fun poison either, not one of those drift off to dreamland types. It will mess your day up, particularly...
Do they not, like, warn you of this? I mean, obviously, you wouldn't expect someone to eat that part, but, like, did they not, like, give you a warning, like, hey, like, make sure you, like, really don't eat that part?
in the digestive and renal areas. Some symptoms include breathing difficulty, burning of the mouth and throat,
Oh, that's not
eye
good.
pain, bloody urine, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting,
the way he's
diarrhea,
depicting this makes it even
convulsions,
more
coma,
painful looking.
and only then will you finally receive the sweet release of death. Of course, you'd need like a shitload of leaves to actually reach the lethality point, about
okay.
11
That makes
pounds for
sense.
a 150-pound person. To put that into
Alright, so
perspective, the
that makes
average
sense.
person eats around 4 pounds of food a day total. So to eat that weight of anything would be very difficult. Next up are almonds. So you know how they say cyanide reeks of almonds? Turns out it's actually the other way around. Sweet almonds, the type people normally eat, contain a bit of the toxin, just enough to get a whiff. After eating about a pound of them, you may experience some of the more mild symptoms, which, while they're not exactly fun, aren't quite as bad as oxalic acid. In order for the poison to actually be deadly, you would have to eat around 4 pounds of almonds in the course of a couple hours. Considering that's the total food
Days
intake
worth.
daily for an average person,
You can
and that
probably
you
pull
would
it
be
off.
vomiting, cramping, and hyperventilating the whole time, it'd be hard to pull off. Next
You can
are
probably do
apple
it, though.
seeds.
Joey
Most
Chestnut
of
could
you
do
are
it.
probably familiar with this one. Apple seeds contain cyanogenic glycosides, which are materials that produce cyanide once they enter the digestive system. These chemicals also have a significant
This is just a
presence
compilation of the world's oddest suicide methods you could pull off.
in a whole menagerie of other produce items, but out of all of these, apple seeds will give you the most bang for your buck as far as potency goes. You would only need around 3.5 ounces of the seeds to do yourself in, which
That's
is a
not that
lot
much at
easier to
all.
pull off than the last two.
Yeah, you can definitely
Of
pull
course,
this one
the whole
off.
point of seeds in fruit is so that things will eat them and crap them out elsewhere to spread the plant around, which would be pretty hard to do if the thing carrying your babies keels over and dies. For this reason, the glycosides are only accessible when one crushes the seeds open. Whole seeds are relatively safe. But if you really wanted to off yourself, you could toss 18 apple cores in a blender and drink the whole thing. The most virulent
That's actually, like, insanely easy, you know? Like, that's actually, like, weirdly easy to do. Like, I wonder if anyone's actually ever done that.
thing you'll find in your entire produce section, however, is none other than the kidney bean. Yes, this innocent-looking legume holds some sinister secrets. Kidney beans contain a toxin known as phytohemagglutinin, and as little as 4 raw beans worth is enough to trigger symptoms. The main sign
That's
of
crazy.
kidney bean poisoning is known scientifically as two-tip tummy terrorism. Boiling the beans deactivates the toxin, which is why we can eat them normally. But heating the beans below the boiling point, as in a slow cooker, actually increases the toxin's potency, to
Oh,
the point
shit.
where a single heated bean is enough to get you blasting out of both ends. I couldn't actually find any reports
actually really
on
crazy.
deaths caused by the toxin, probably because everyone who ingests it ends up propelling it away from them at high velocities a few hours later. But
Makes
it'll
sense.
certainly make you want to die at least. There are a bunch of other minor sources of poison present in your produce section, of course. I just decided to highlight a few.
Those are some really
Anyway,
interesting ones,
I'm
actually.
Sam
This is actually a
Manila,
really
and thank you
interesting
for
one.
watching.
Yeah, that's probably the most interesting one so far, in my opinion. Alright, now we are on to an open letter to the Swiss Miss.
Hey kids, let me tell you about Swiss Miss
Oh no, he's mad. Starting off here. Oh god. Look at his eyebrows.
Instant Hot Chocolate, and why their packaging is bullshit. So, it comes in a box shaped like this, right? And within the box, there are individual bags of hot chocolate arranged like this. Already you can see some of this company's incompetence shining through. There is no reason for their box
Oh,
to
God.
be double wide. It is a waste of cardboard. Let me prove it. Here's a top-down view, right? Let's say this side is 8 inches, this side is 2 inches. That adds up to 20 inches of cardboard. If you doubled it up like this, just had the package a single file, that's only 16 inches. It's a waste. And if that weren't
Oh,
bad
wow.
enough, for
some
some
insane
reason,
math
they
there.
decide to attach the bags with these tiny paper bridges. So when you go to make your packet of hot chocolate, you have to detach the two bags.
Yeah,
That doesn't
that's so
sound so
stupid.
bad, except for the fact that it's impossible to break them cleanly. Every time, every goddamn time, they tear holes into the
Doesn't even
sides
really
of
have
the
a purpose
bags.
really to
And
do
it's
that.
never just one bag either. That would be too simple. It puts holes in both. So either way, you're gonna have to put one back and just live with it leaking powder in the box. It's gotten to the point where I have to employ surgical precision just to avoid getting chocolate dust all over my frickin' house. It would be so simple to avoid too, even if you really had
This
to
is
have
real
these
anger
pointless
right here. This is a
attachment
real
things.
rant.
You could at least put little perforations down the center so they break down the middle. School notebooks have been doing it since the 50s, so why, in 2016, has Swiss Miss not discovered the arcane technology of dotted lines? So there's powder everywhere.
great point.
The cat's looking at you funny because it knows you're pissed off, but at least it's time to enjoy some hot chocolate. You pour your bag into the mug, pour in the hot water, take a sip, and it tastes like piss. Swiss Miss instant piss. So you go back to
Give this
check
guy
the
wrinkles,
box,
dude.
thinking maybe you did something wrong. The cat starts shaking because it knows what's coming, and that's when you see it.
Oh no.
Serving size, 6 ounces. So finally the dam breaks, you unleash a primal roar of sheer fury. The cat shits itself and jumps out the window as you punt kick the Swiss Miss box across
Why
the
is the animations on his face in this one so much more detailed?
room. The average mug is 12 fluid ounces in volume. Who in God's name only drinks 6 ounces of liquid? So finally, you reach into the box and pull out the desecrated corpse of that other bag from earlier, and you pour it in. Only then can you enjoy your subpar hot beverage properly. This whole system, right? This charade that Swiss Miss puts you through. It's kind of like telling a guy to just jizz with one ball instead of both of them. They're in the same container, and
Then it'd be
separating them
impressive
would
if you
be
can pull it
difficult.
off.
And even if I were to figure out how to do that, 2 does the job better than 1 anyway, so it's pointless. Nowadays, I just fold the packet in half and rip along the seams of both. And maybe that was
Makes a
their
lot more
intention, but
sense.
if so, why would you give me the
Why would you
illusion
give me
of
2 bags?
separability in the first place? It's
Yeah.
like Siamese twins. They're joined for no reason.
Why'd you
and
not just make
hard
one
as
big
fuck to
bag?
separate. So I guess I'm just gonna have to live with both. I don't know which is worse. The fact this minor inconvenience was my biggest dilemma all day, or that this inconvenience even exists in the first place. But anyway, I'm
You know, we need to
Salmonella,
stop minor
and thank you for
inconveniences in the
watching.
world. They're truly the biggest killer. We need to go back to the days of making gigantic rants over mild inconveniences. Alright, so now we're on to how to read fire diamonds.
Hey kids, today I'll be teaching you
Hey,
how to read
kids.
these things. The symbol is technically known as NFPA 704, but nobody really calls it that. Most people refer to it as a fire diamond, or a safety square, or if you're British, a figmenty pigmenty crossa tossa, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, when you see the symbol, usually on a door or a container or something, it means there's a hazardous material present, and the numbers and symbols on the diamond give information on exactly how dangerous that material is. So first off, notice the 4 colors, right? Each one represents a different type of
Let's
hazard.
take Simon
Red is
Says.
for flammability, because fire and burning things are usually red. Yellow is
bop
for
it.
chemical reactivity, I guess because chemical reactions involve swapping electrons, and electricity is yellow, sure. Blue is for health hazards,
Makes
because
sense.
fuck you. And then white is just extra space for other stuff. So the 3 colored diamonds, or if you want to be politically correct, the African American diamonds, each have a number from 0 to 4. And each of these is like a threat level for that category. If the number
diamonds
is
of
0,
color.
it basically means you'd have to be some kind of professional to manage to fuck things up in that fashion. Sand, for example, has a 0 in its
I'd find a way.
flammability. The only time sand burns is when it's wedged in the cracks of your Speedo for too long. However, please note that the health section does
How to stick this precaution in after the fact, hence change the audio
not
quality.
apply to ingestion. For example, motor oil has a blue rating of 0, but that in no way makes it safe to drink. If the number is 1, that means there's
Right.
a threat present, but you'd still have to be like an advanced level dumbass in order to really find it. Cellulose, the primary chemical found in paper,
I like the levels he's describing here is the higher it up is the lower it gets, the more of a dumbass you have to be to fuck it up.
has a flammability of 1, so don't, hold it over a fire for a while, and you'll be fine. 2 is where things start being kind of a big deal. Capsaicin reason, the chemical that makes peppers spicy has a health risk of 2. You finish chopping your jalapenos, and then you go touching your jalapenos. It's not gonna kill you or nothing, but it's gonna mess your day up for sure. If you see a 3, that
I never thought I'd wake up today and hear the phrase "touching your jalapenos," but here I
That's
am.
when you know you gotta watch out. Gasoline, it's got a flammability of 3, and we all know gasoline. You see gasoline walking by, you better take the cigarette out of your mouth, get the static off your clothes, fix your hair, make yourself presentable, don't make eye contact. That's the only way to keep yourself safe. And then 4 is the highest number on the scale. If you see a 4, the best thing to do is just start walking backwards, because if you're close enough to read
Makes
that 4,
sense.
chances are you're not where you need to be. Nitroglycerin has a reactivity of 4. If you soak a tissue in nitroglycerin and give it to your friend to sneeze in, that sneeze will result in his entire goddamn face getting blown off.
Oh
So yeah,
god.
4s are nothing to sneeze at. Literally.
Is that a way of do you think that's ever been a way of like executing somebody or like assassinating them by like making their tissues in nitroglycerin so when they sneeze it just fucking explodes? Someone's got to have tried at least. The CIA has to have tried that at some
Now
point.
let's move on to the bottom bit. Unlike me, this diamond isn't just a big white waste of space. This is the spot for any extra warnings you need to know about. Most of them are
God damn
pretty
it.
self-explanatory, like radiation, or biohazard, or gaze, so I'll just go through a few that aren't as easy to interpret. Take a look at this one. Unless you hear faint mooing while you're reading it, chances are it doesn't mean what you think. OX is short for oxidizer, which is basically something that produces oxygen when exposed to heat. This doesn't sound so bad until you realize that heat plus oxygen rarely ends
Yeah.
well for most fuels in the vicinity.
Explosions,
If you see this one, it
basically.
means white people aren't allowed to touch the material. Just kidding. White people are allowed to do whatever they want. It actually means don't mix with water,
God damn
or
it,
else
Sam.
it could explode or multiply or something. Ese means simple asphyxiant, referring to
Ese.
gases like helium. It basically means that while this gas isn't poisonous, it's also, you know, not air. So if you breathe it for too long, you will still die. Alright kids, so now that you know all the ins and outs of these things, let me give you a little quiz. On the left we got a bunch of things, and on the right we have a bunch of fire diamonds. Pause the video now and see if you
Okay, where his mixtape is clearly 5 on the fire scale. I mean, come on now. Okay, 4, 4, and 2. Hold up. Okay, let's try to do this quiz here. Drinking alcohol. That's gonna be pretty flammable. I'm gonna go down this one down here. That's not like radioactive or anything. Nitrogen gas. That's gonna be pretty radioactive. I think. I don't know. I think this one, hydrogen cyanide, that's going to be on the health one. That's going to be this top one here. Wait, no, sodium metal is going to be this top one. What the fuck is... God damn it, he just teached me this. I'm failing the test. Oh no, the only one I know is this
can match
mixtape.
them up correctly. All done? Here are the answers.
Oh shit, I missed it. 1 second. Let's go. We gotta
Left
go
we got a
back.
bunch of things, and on the right we have a bunch of fire diamonds. Pause the video now and see if you can match them up correctly. All done? Here are the answers.
Oh, so sodium metal was this one. The guy drinking alcohol, right? Nitrogen gas. Okay, I can't even see with it in the red. Is there nothing in the red there? I can't see. Maybe, I don't know. Oh no, this is bad. Oh no, I think I'm failing the test.
Answers. So now you know all about NFPA 704.
NFPA
Till next
704.
time, I'm Salmonella, and thank you for watching.
That was a really funny one. There was a lot of good jokes in that. Touching your jalapenos. White people aren't allowed to touch the material. Yeah, tons of great jokes there. They're stepping up as we're getting further down here. You can definitely see the evolution of the humor. It's getting a lot better. Okay, so now we're on to the Bombardier Beetle.
Hey kids, before we get started with today's video, I wanted to give a warm welcome to all my new subscribers. My sub count basically quintupled just in the past day or so.
That's crazy. We're watching the videos he made when he had fucking 80 subscribers. That's, dude, insane. He had less subscribers than me.
Which is really cool, so thanks for that. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about the Bombardier Beetle. So here's what he looks like, right? Already you can tell he's kind of a prick. He just looks like an ant that one day decided to stick a sunflower seed on his back, thinking he's all creative. Like, yeah, I'm original now. I'm my own insect. Got the junk in the trunk for the ladies, no big deal. That's just a
Junk in
picture
the trunk is
Wikipedia
crazy.
shows, though. There are a bunch of other species of Bombardier, most of which look a little more unique, so I'll give him some credit. The cool thing about the Bombardier Beetle,
Looks
though,
pretty
has
cool.
nothing to do with appearance. It's actually the fact that this creature has some pretty awesome weaponry up its sleeve. The beetle is actually capable of shooting a foul-smelling chemical spray from its back end. And it
So am
doesn't
I.
even have to eat Chipotle beforehand. Am I right, ladies? Anyway, the spray contains, among other things, a compound called 1,4-benzoquinone, which is quite irritating to vulnerable tissue, like eyes or mouths. Couple that with the fact that the mixture comes out at a temperature close to the boiling point, and you've got a pretty gangster arthropod
Holy
on
shit.
your hands. One could liken the Bombardier Beetle to the common Tumblr feminist. Whenever it feels
Oh, no.
even slightly threatened, it starts pulling shit out of its ass in an effort to be as unnecessarily inflammatory as possible. Even more interesting than the spray itself, though, is the way the beetle pulls it off. It starts out with two
That's
different
some Max
substances,
2016
hydrogen
humor right there.
peroxide and hydroquinone, each of which is stored in a separate reservoir in the body. Then whenever the bombardier gets his jerrys in a jostle, he releases either chemical into a single chamber. Once they mix, these chemicals react violently with one another, producing a bunch of heat and gas. The pressure from the gas is what propels the liquid out of the chamber and into the face of anything nearby. Fortunately for the bombardier, the pressure also seals off the entrances to the reservoirs, so as to stop the thing from, blowing itself up. As soon as the pressure's
Makes
released,
sense.
though, the valves reopen, and the process can be
I
repeated.
didn't realize how many of Sam's videos were actually about science. I know him for his history content, but yeah, he checks out quite a bit of videos educating me on some science stuff here.
And this whole cycle takes place within the course of a couple milliseconds, meaning the average
That's
beetle
crazy.
can fire anywhere from 5 to 20 blasts within a fraction of a second. Once this video is over, you guys should look up some slow-mo videos of the Bombardier in action. I can't show you here because of copyright and all, but it's pretty cool, so go check it out.
Copyright?
Anyway, though,
What?
the system of using pressurized gases both to launch projectiles and to regulate the chambering process is actually somewhat similar to how guns like the AK-47 work. So I thought it was pretty neat how this
That's
creature managed
insane.
to evolve something so mechanical in nature. I just hope the NRA doesn't
Motherfucker
catch
developed
wind
a
of
gun
these
in his
guys.
ass.
If the government takes away our chemical
He evolved
weapons,
a gun in
only
his
the
ass.
Bombardier Beetles will have chemical weapons. Then what, man? Then what? Hey, do you guys remember how the Flintstones always used to use animals as tools? Like that Pelican cement mixer, it's all living. Well, it's a shame the writers didn't know about the Bombardier Beetle, because it would fit right in with their primitive shenanigans. Wilma's walking home late at night, right? Hear someone sneaking up on her, hand on her shoulder, BAM! Prehistoric pepper spray. Then when he's down, she whips out the
Prehistoric
needle, BAM!
pepper
Prehistoric
spray.
taser. He thinks
Oh
it's
my
over.
God.
Little does he know, she's got a cicada on a string around her neck. BAM! Prehistoric rape whistle. Police come, take him to jail. He serves a sentence. After a while, he gets
That's
granted
crazy. Basically, a lot of pieces of technology have animals that can do kind of the same thing from an evolutionary purpose. Yeah, it's crazy. I've never heard of this thing. It's like, how is these things not like a very dominant species? They seem like way more powerful than any other beetle.
parole. Things finally looking up for him, and that's when they stick the parrot on his shoulder. BAM! Prehistoric Megan's Law. Hey, so I'm kinda new around here, and so legally I'm obligated.
He's a pervert.
Well, what he means to say is.
Kitty diddler.
What? Okay, first of all.
We need to have a renewed version of the Flintstones on like Adult Swim with these with the with these new technologies. Well, with these ancient technologies used in these modern ways.
Police come, take him to jail. He serves a sentence. After a while, he gets granted parole. Things finally looking up for him, and that's when they stick the parrot on his shoulder. BAM! Prehistoric Megan's Law. Hey, so I'm kinda new around here, and so legally I'm obligated.
He's a pervert.
Well, what he means to say is.
Kitty diddler.
What? Okay, first of all, nobody got diddled, let alone.
Once a rapist, always a rapist.
Anyway, what was this episode about? Right. Bombardier Beetle. So, yeah, that's all for today. Till next time, I'm Salmonella, and thank you
Yeah,
for
it kind of went
watching.
off the rails at the end, but yeah, pretty good video, pretty interesting creature. I do want to know the reason why those things are not common at all to see. Did humans just don't like them? I mean, I understand if humans didn't like him. This seems fucking terrifying. The CIA might have liked him, like he was kind of in the video. Alright, so now we're on to slang words that I don't understand. This might be the last video here, I'm pretty sure.
Hey kids, today I'm going to talk about a few
kids.
slang words that I never understood. First is chicken legs. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm leaner than lean, so I've received this insult a couple times, hey, chicken legs. But chicken legs really aren't that skinny. Here's a diagram of my leg, right? And here's the average chicken leg. Look at that. I wish I had that kind of calf
It's kind of like if it was like, yeah, I mean, Yeah, this is a great point, actually. They're not at all skinny.
That's sexy as fuck. There are bodybuilders with less meat on their bones than that. And considering the fact that most people have interacted with the drumstick at some point in their lives, I'm frankly dumbfounded that anyone ever thought to use this to refer to skinny people. Then there's socking someone. Hey man, I'm trying to think of a new slang word for punching someone in the face really hard. Like just destroying someone with your fists. Got any ideas? How about one of the softest, gentlest, and most unassuming objects found in one's entire house? That's like kicking someone in the dick and being like, whoa bro, you just got feathered. Fuck you, don't try to downplay my suffering. If anything, I got shin bashed in the dick bag. That's the proper
Gotta stop
level
the
of
soft
vulgarity
language.
relative to the situation. Anyway, it would make a little more sense if you said
That's hilarious.
gloved, because at least those are socks for
Gloved.
your hands. But no, it's nonsense. Next is
You can say you got fingered.
blow, in reference to cocaine. It's a form of air movement, so I
You do
guess
the
this
exact
one is
opposite.
like half correct, but it could still lead to a lot of confusion. Yo, y'all wanna do some blow? Oh, gee whiz, walla, okie dokie. Oh, I'm feeling it.
It's the exact
kicking
opposite
in.
of what you do.
Oh, doggy. That's some nifty blow you got there, eh? Get out of my house. Next is nuts. When somebody is nuts, it means they're wild, they're crazy, they live life on the edge, right?
Nuts aren't that crazy, man. Neither
What
of
the
them.
fuck is so exciting about this? Finally, box. So
That's the first time I've really seen him yell kinda at all, man. Maybe he got away from the parents' basement, man. Maybe he got away from the parents' basement by this time.
box is a common slang word for one's lady bits, right? Now I've only been around 2 vaginas in my life. I came
Yeah, it's not really box shaped, is it? And if it is, then you had some weird experiences in your life.
out of one of them when I was born, and I spent most of my time around the other one with my eyes closed, so my knowledge on that subject might be a little shaky. However,
TMI, dude.
I
Did
have
not
been
need to know
around
that.
hundreds of thousands of boxes in my life. I know those inside and out, so that should make up for it. And let me tell you, these two things could not be less similar in shape. You see, boxes have corners. If your pussy has corners, you should probably start taking the tampons out of the container before you put them in. Likewise, if you compare the properties of either object,
I just love that sentence. If your pussy has corners. Oh the god, yeah. Throughout this binge, he progressively gets funnier and funnier as it progressed. The comedy definitely steadily improved. Like every video in the last like 5 has gotten so much funnier. That's amazing.
you'll notice that they're basically opposites in every way, so as a slang word, it's totally unfitting. Anyway, that's all for today. Till next time, I'm Salmonella, and thank you for watching.
Alright, so that's the end of this Salmonella binge we had here. So, yeah, we're going to, if you want me to do more Salmonella reactions, make sure to comment below on any specific videos. I might have already seen a lot of the most popular ones, but if there's any other ones you want me to see that you think I might not watch, put them in the description, put them in the comments below. I run 7 YouTube channels, so go subscribe to any of those in the description. We're trying to get this channel 2,000 subs, hopefully you liked, and make sure to like the video if you want me to know you like these Salmonella reactions, you want me to do more reactions like it. And, yeah, that'll be about it. Bye.